All right, continuing on section 7.2. We're now in part 2 where we're calculating the amount spent on regular expenditures. So we need to get through some definitions first. Our book will define luxuries as expenses that we can live without. So we want to think about those as our wants. Necessary expenses are our basic things you have to pay for survival. Your needs: food, shelter, insurance, transportation, clothing, utilities, student loan payments. Further into definitions, fixed expenses are the amounts that you know you consistently spend every single month. So maybe you have a car payment, and you know that's a set price every single month. Maybe you have a cell phone, and that's a set price of money every month. Then you have these variable expenses that from month to month can change. So your grocery bill, maybe it's close to about the same price, but it's not exactly the same price from month to month, right? So we need to learn that we cannot just spend all our money on our wants before we calculate what our necessary expenses are. So that's what the next couple of problems are going to do for us. So let's talk about some examples. So if you buy 2 lattes at Starbucks every day, and each cup costs $7.25, how much would you spend in 1 year? So the way of thinking here is $7.25 times 2, because you're buying 2 of them. Again, simple calculation here. Check with your calculator. You get $14.50. And this is how much you spend per day, because you get 2 of those a day. Then it says you do that consistently every single day. Let's say you do it every single day for a year. So you're going to take that $14.50 and you're going to multiply it by 365, because that's the number of days in a year. And the amount that you're going to spend on those 2 lattes from Starbucks is $5,292.50 yearly. That's how much you'll spend in the year for Starbucks. All right, so the you try problem again is one for you to try. The answer that you should get to if you try it on your own is $523.20. Again, try it. See if you get that answer. Email me, please, if you do not, and we will walk through it and figure it out. So now we're going to go into, well, how do we prepare a budget? The key to maintaining a sensible budget is to add all your necessary expenses and subtract them from your income. The result will let you know how much you have to spend on your wants, the luxury items. All right? So let's try example 3 here. Mark's monthly income and fixed expenses are provided. So his income is $1,315, and these are monthly, right? Did you catch that? Rent, $410, car payment, $212, cell phone, $67.93, utilities, $158.30, insurance, $96.95. A, find the amount that would be left in Mark's budget for variable expenses and luxuries given that income and those fixed expenses. So here's what you're going to do, right? You're going to take the $1,315, because that's how much you're bringing in, and you're going to subtract all of your fixed expenses. So you're going to take $410. Now there's 2 ways of thinking here. Let's do it differently, because maybe you'll see it differently, right? So I'm going to change my way of thinking here. Bear with me a second. I apologize. All right, so we're going to subtract 410. We're going to subtract 212. We're going to subtract $67.93. We're going to subtract $158.30. And we're going to subtract $96.95. Right? So when you do that on your calculator, you get $945.18. Okay. Oh, no, that's wrong. If you're checking against my answer, you would be like, that's not right. This 945.18 is actually what all of the minuses add up to. So let's fix it. Whoopsie. Right? So we are going to put down the right answer. So the right answer, what's left, is $369.82. Man, it would have been nicer to have that other number, but this is the amount left. So that's the amount of money left in the bank that you have for variable expenses and luxuries. So now here's the next part. It says Mark eats at Chili's twice a week, spending an average of $21.48 each time. What percent of their budget after fixed expenses goes to Chili's? Okay, so the first thing that we have to do is we have to figure out, well, what's the total amount going to Chili's each week? Because he's doing this twice. And it's $21.48 each time. So we're going to multiply by 2. And we are going to get $42.96 per week. Then the next thing that we need to do, because we're talking monthly, right? We know that he has $369.82 left for the month, is on average, there's 4 weeks in a month. So we're going to multiply this by 4. And that's going to give us that this answer is $171.84 monthly that he's spending at Chili's. Now we want to know the percentage of the remaining amount that goes to Chili's. So that, remember how to find a percent. You take the part over the total. So the part that we're interested in is the part that goes to Chili's. So $171.84 divided by, well, what's the total? The total is the amount left that money can come from. So it's the $369.82. Right? And then let's just do this one with our calculator, right? So we have $171.84 divided by 369.82. We get a decimal. So remember, the decimal does not represent the percent yet. We need to move the decimal 2 spaces to the right. So let's write a little bit of this decimal down. 0.4647. Let's write that down. So 0.4647, and then if we move our decimal 2 spaces, we get an answer of 46.5%. So almost half of what Mark has left for the month is going to Chili's. That doesn't leave a lot for groceries. That doesn't leave a lot for gas. It doesn't leave anything for an emergency, right? So Mark might want to rethink that. Right? So let's try again. A student has the following fixed income and expenses. $955 from work, $556 from parents. The rent is $944, but it's split among 3 roommates. Utilities is $201, and it's also split among 3 roommates. On-campus dining plan is $180. Cell phone and iPad data plan is $113.15. There's renter's insurance for $27, and there's gas for $79.35. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to get the total income. because the student is getting money from his job or her job and from parents. So you want to take the $955 and you want to add the $556. And you're going to get a total of $1,511. Then you need to take this $944 and divide it by 3 because it's split among 3 people. So you're going to take the $944 divided by 3 and you're going to round that amount because we're talking money. So we're going to say $314.67. We also have this utility charge that we need to divide by 3. When you divide 201 by 3, you get 67. So now remember what you're going to do. You're going to take that 1511 and you're going to subtract all of these expenses. So you're going to subtract 314.67. You're going to subtract 67. You're going to subtract 180. You're going to subtract $113.15. You're going to subtract 27. And you're going to subtract 79.35. When you do that, with your calculator, you have got what's left is $729.83. Now B says the student spends $12.99 per week on smoothies. What percent of their budget after fixed expenses and smoothies is left? Round to the nearest tenth of a percent. All right? So what percentage of their budget is left? So here's what you're going to do. You have to take the $729.83 and you have to subtract how much the smoothies are. But remember, this is monthly. So you can't just subtract the smoothie once because that's weekly. So what should this number be multiplied by if it needs to be how many times this happens in a month? Remember we said that there is on average 4 weeks in a month. So you're going to multiply that and you're going to get 51.96. So you're going to subtract 51.96. And when you do that, you get $677.87. Now this is kind of asking a different percentage. It says what percentage of their budget after fixed expenses and smoothies is left? Well, the amount of money that's left after all of the expenses are subtracted and the smoothies are subtracted is $677.87. Well, what percentage is that out of the total amount of income that they had at the beginning of the month? Okay, so let's try this again because percents can sometimes be a little tricky. So you take $677.87 and you divide it by 1511 and you get a decimal. A trick with the calculator to easily change a decimal to a percent is to just multiply by 100 because that moves our decimal 2 spaces right. So this is now a percentage that we can round. So I'm going to say 44.9. I'm going to say the 6 rounds the 8 up. So I'm going to say 44.9% is what's left of their monthly income. Not too bad, right? The U-try problem, part C is the U-try problem. Okay, so the answer that you want to try to get to, see if you are understanding the process here. So remember, you could pause the video and try this and see. So you get $649.03 as your answer, right? D goes along with C. It's still about Tremaine. So there's two U-Try problems back to back. So the answer here is to see if you can get the percentage correct, and the percentage is 30.8%. Again, try them. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to email and reach out. Now we're going to talk about prorating. Prorating is this idea that some expenses only occur annually or semi-annually. So, for example, SWIC tuition isn't, you might pay it monthly, but you could also pay it each semester. So it doesn't happen monthly. It could be if you own property, you pay property taxes annually. You know, your car insurance, maybe you don't pay your car insurance monthly, maybe you pay it annually all in one lump sum. So these are larger expenses, and to try to help you not roll into debt, you can see them in the future, know what you have to spend, and figure out, well, what should I save monthly so I have that amount? That's called prorating. To prorate is to divide an expense in a proportional way based on time. So let's look at an example, prorating long-term expenses. So Jen pays $337.24 every 6 months for car insurance. He also pays $2,623 for tuition at the beginning of both fall and spring semesters, and budgets $650 for books and supplies for each semester. If he wants to plan ahead, how much money should he put into savings every month? Well, we got to figure out everything here he's trying to pay for. So the $337.24 is happening every 6 months. So how many times does that happen a year? Twice. So I multiply by 2. And we're going to get $674.84. He also has $2,623 in tuition that he pays both fall and spring semesters. So it's being paid twice. So that's $5,246. And there's also a $650 amount of money that he wants to make sure is on hand for books and supplies each semester. So that's also being multiplied by 2 for $1,300. Now these three are added together for a total of $7,220.48. If we want into savings monthly, you have to take that $7,220.48 and divide it by 12. So when you divide it by 12, you get that Jen should be saving $601.71 every month to have that amount on hand. So the U-Try problem, a similar one. See if you can handle it here. So the answer is $816.38 that needs to be saved monthly. All right, and that is all of 7